Welcome back to the Way of Healing.
Welcome. Hi.
Here we are. We are in beautiful Woodland Hills today.
Yeah.
We have Mayra McCullough as our guest, and she is founder of EcoVilla, which we're on the property of EcoVilla. And she also runs a nonprofit organization called Coach2edify. And she's going to tell us more about the organizations and what she does. And we got a tour of the property. There's a geodesic dome here. There's a cob house. There's a beautiful pool. And it's all very, it's
gorgeous out here.
yeah, to say the least. We also have Rico. Rico is it's her canine feature, and he's sharing the chair with her here. So we're lucky enough to have a little pet companion with us too for this morning's interview. So welcome, Mayra.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Yes. And thank you for what you do. It's very important. Content is absolutely necessary for this new way of living. That is really not new. We're just pulling from our ancestors and bringing back some technologies that were lost. And caused a lot of trouble not having them around.
You were just talking about that last night, about the food being changed and modified, and now it's coming back to its roots.
Yes, going. So we talk a lot of the time. I find myself, this new way is really not new. We're just bringing some things to the surface again to bring some balance to our lifestyles and create wellness and create value in our lives.
We also thank you for the work that you're doing because you've been a pioneer of this sort for, it sounds like, almost 30 years.
Yes.
Right? Living with intention, permaculture, bringing nature more into our lives. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what EcoVilla is?
Absolutely. Well, EcoVilla is, it was a laboratory of regenerative wellness. I had a season in my life after being in the film industry for many years. I went to UCLA Film School. I was Directors Guild member, working in feature films all over the world and getting really burned out. And after I decided to step out of that because I knew my body wasn't designed to do that. I just had, as passionate as I was about the film industry, I knew there was too big of a gap between the lifestyle and my health. And then I stepped into a new chapter in my life, that it was being a full-time mom in this beautiful home. And in that, which was not in the script ever, I left from Puerto Rico to go to UCLA Film School to be the director, the producer. People would ask me, "Are you ever going to get married and have kids?" No, no, that's not what I'm doing. But there we go. So the full-time mom experience and the family experience was a beautiful one that brought so many gifts and opened the gifts that I had to offer in this world that were not necessarily expressed in the film industry at that time when I was doing it. So in that process of being a full-time mom, me being the infinite producer, I was always producing stuff, from amazing birthday parties to a summer camp. And I would find myself doing things for my children that would give them tools that school was not giving them.
Yes.
So all of a sudden I was always kind of coming up with different, so it was almost like my business would grow with my children based on what they needed. So if they were, 12 and 8 and needed a good summer camp, I'll do it,
Nice. Lucky them.
And that's, and then when they were in middle school, they needed to connect with their bodies. So I did, that was when the first pilot program started happening here, because I saw how weak the bodies of my children's friends were.
Yeah.
And when my husband passed away after being a full-time mom, he passed away like 16 years ago. And I found myself trying to find what to do next. And it wasn't the film industry because it would take me away from my kids as well.
Yeah.
And I had to ask myself the question, where do I like to spend time? And at that moment in my life, because the doctor had told me I needed to lose weight, I was in the gym, which I had never been before. I was a dancer. I was never into the gym. But at this point in my life, I was. And I was really enjoying the community and working out together with music. And, you know, I was really enjoying that atmosphere. So I said, well, it's the gym. It's the gym. That's where I want to be. That's where I want to spend time. So I ended up restarting a whole new career as a front desk girl of this local gym here called Total Woman. And after 8 months, I'm like, well, how can I make more money here? You know, I asked my manager, and she's like, well, what do you think would you want to do? And I'm like, well, I can go to corporate and do marketing. You know, like that's where my head was at. And she said, there's no way. No. And I'm like, no, oh my God, what am I going to do? And she goes, Mayra, you would be an amazing personal trainer. And I had no clue. I mean, that had never gone through my mind. And I'm like, I'm not a science girl. I am a creative person, you know, and this, you know, studying anatomy and all that. I don't know. And she goes, Mayra, please just try it. I'm like, okay, well, what's the cheapest certification I can get? So she said, we found one for $350
Online.
Online, and I took it. And as I was taking it, I was falling in love with the science, and I was in awe that we were not taught this in school. And that's where my passion to equip people to understand how to take care of their home, the first home we're given that is free. And because it's free, it's our responsibility. And it's given to us to take care of it. So it was about taking ownership of our health, right? And you know, this culture of worshiping medical doctors and therapists to, oh, sorry about that.
You're fine. That was the universe echoing your sentiment, by the way.
This is a resounding yes.
Yeah, so that became my passion. I really, and the gym culture, it's really kind of a little codependent, you know, the people pay you to tell them what to do, and the tendency was that they didn't want to know how to do it themselves.
Right.
They really didn't. I mean, I was in that gym environment for about 8 years, and I couldn't find anyone that was interested in learning themselves how to do it, you know. And so I moved to another gym. It was very high-end, Equinox, and had a beautiful personal training career there. I learned a lot, but it was also that what I call now ego-centered fitness, you know, which is all about how we look and get rid of this. This is ugly. Can you get rid of that? And not really a focus on the overall well-being, but on how we look. Right? So, and I played the game. I liked it. I mean, I made everyone look really good. I liked how I looked, you know, and I liked feeling strong too. And I like having there was something about being in optimal fitness in my body that gave me a very positive mental feedback.
Right.
You know, and energy. And, but there was something missing. And that's where I was inspired to leave the gym and start my own practice. And when I asked myself, what are my assets? What do I have? How can I start my own business in this field? What I had was this property. It's really what I had. I didn't have cash in the bank. I had the property.
Yeah.
And a beautiful one. And that I was left by my beloved deceased husband, who had a vision to bring nature into our lives more. And that's how the intention of this home was about, which I didn't connect with that because I'm a city girl from San Juan. So when San Juan, Puerto Rico, and when I stepped out from Equinox, what I kept hearing was get closer to nature, get closer to nature. And I wasn't sure how to do that. I didn't have a green thumb. All the fruit trees that David left when he passed away, they died because I didn't know how to take care of them. And I really couldn't carry on that vision at the time. But that voice was telling me, you need to get closer to nature. And so that it was a journey of self-exploration. And every time I got closer to nature, I would find out more about myself. I would get more healing. I would get more courage to express whatever wanted to come out, which was in all kind of things like creative expression, community building, nature connection, of course, lifestyle design, body integration, and holistic medicine. There were many different things that were popping up. And I was doing all these workshops and classes, inviting different people as I was inspired, but nobody really understood what I was doing. It's like, Mayra, what are you? You're not a personal trainer anymore. What are you? And I'm like, I don't know. We're figuring it out. Finally, I gave myself the name of a body integration specialist, and that became my private practice as a holistic fitness expert. And that was has become more about facilitating body integration for people so they connect all the dots within themselves.
Beautiful.
And that became one practice, and then EcoVilla became the venue of where to hold the education for that. And eventually the nonprofit became, is now a nonprofit that supports the production of content about regenerative wellness. And regenerative wellness meaning that it's not only sustainable, but it's regenerative. So, which taps to our natural intelligence and the ability for nature to regenerate itself. And so it's been, that's where we're at right now. We have the nonprofit, which is how I started when I left Equinox. Now is the film content focus, but then out of that, Holistic Fitness by Mayra was born, and EcoVilla. So that's the little universe that I swim in every day in full creative impulse, practicing co-creative practices and understanding what that really means. What is co-creation? A lot of people throw that word out there. We're going to co-create, but really, what does that mean? What is conscious commerce? This big word, conscious commerce. We're all doing conscious commerce. And I was really drawn to that and got trained by some amazing coaches in this that were led by Barbara Marx Hubbard. And then from her came a living co-creation, and I became an ambassador of co-creation with these teachers, and have really been able to apply those practices to everything we do here. And it's a really different technology from the regular way of running business. Very different.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you had all this space, and you utilized the space for your practice and for helping people connect to themselves, which we love. We're all about connecting to ourselves.
Right.
I personally used to work at a gym as well, where people would come in and for aesthetic reasons.
Right.
But anything outside of the gym, they didn't really want to take accountability for. Right? Their sleep, their eating habits, their stress habits, anything outside of the gym where we weren't helping them directly, they didn't want to hear about shifting things. And for me, that was the biggest disconnect.
Right.
It was like, you aesthetically want to look great, but you don't want to feel great. And so a lot of the evolution of myself and my practice was like, how do I get people to be in tune with themselves? Right. And it's great that you've been able to utilize your home and utilize the space here to then help people connect to themselves. And I know there's a lot of people out there who have a similar thought process.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's a collective thing. It's not my bright idea, for sure. It's not. It flows through us, right? And we're just the conduits to doing the work.
It takes a village. It takes a villa. An
EcoVilla.
EcoVilla.
What would you recommend to someone who's looking to transition? Because it's a scary transition. There's security, there's benefits, there's insurance, there's all these things that come with working in a big corporate setting. There's a consistent flow of clients. What would you recommend, or any suggestions that you can give to someone out there who is looking to branch out and do their own thing?
Step
And
out.
yeah.
Well, there's a moment that we feel ready. You know, there's a moment where it's the time, and the time is where it's an effortless decision. You're not here like, oh my God, should I, shouldn't I? It's like, you know. And I think that piece is very important, because if you're not ready, it's not the time. And trusting that impulse where you know that you know that you know. It's like what I call now, I do decisions that are only no-brainer decisions. Right? If it's too much of a should I or shouldn't I, then I'm not ready. When it's the no-brainer decision, that's when I step out. And my no-brainer decision came when I found the new piece of equipment that I fell in love with, which is this suspension yoga sling that I have in my dome.
Yeah.
And when I found that and got certified for that, in my heart, I felt the confidence, I'm ready. I can do this. I'm doing something different from Equinox. It's not like I'm doing the same thing, Equinox in my house. It's going to give me a little edge. I mean, I convinced myself. That really didn't turn out to be the moneymaker, but it's what helped me feel confident.
Right.
So I think waiting for that point where you feel that creative impulse pulls you effortlessly is very important. And then the next step, once I was here and I start freaking out about money.
We've all been there.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, okay, how this is not the same flow I was having at Equinox, right? So, and I heard this little voice tell me, if you're going to worry about money, just go back to Equinox, and that's okay. And bye. And at that moment, I am kind of a risk, I like risk. I like being on the edge. That's kind of my personality, So I said, no, okay, fine. I won't worry about money. I won't worry about money. And I didn't. But that was putting me in the negative every month. And that put me in a pickle, in a financial pickle. It was a very difficult situation. I almost had to sell the house. And at that moment, someone tells me about, why don't you do Airbnb? The famous Airbnb, right? And I'm like, Airbnb, that's weird. All these strangers, I just didn't feel it's a hard concept.
The people you were just waving
I
to.
think I was
Exactly.
just going to say, I think those were Airbnb. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, so because I was considering selling the house, I tried it because I was trying everything. And Airbnb was the game changer in terms of providing a flow, a cash flow. It became my bread and butter. So we need to find the bread and butter because the financial pickles come if you don't worry about money, which is okay. I mean, it was just a process. It's not that I did anything wrong. It's just that pushed me to get to that place where I had no choice but to try Airbnb. That was a no-brainer decision. It was like I didn't have much of a choice. I needed to try that before selling the house.
Right.
And it brought the answer that I needed to help me, support me in continuing this work of the heart. because the work of the heart is not about the 6 and 7 figures you're going to make at the end of the year. That's why, this marketing webinars about how to bring your conscious spiritual business to 7 figures. I was like, stop it. That is not okay. That's just like, you're so like out of the paradigm when you talk like that.
Right.
And it's not that we're not supposed to receive abundance. Mm-hmm. It's just that that's not what it's about. That's just not the focus. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not the focus. So it's quite a dance with the whole financial game and trusting spirit, God, however you experience that thing that is greater than us, that is supporting this work, because it really is. And the more I felt supported, the more the miracles came, then you keep relaxing into it and flowing, And I'm not, right now, I finally, after 8 years, I figured out, or it was presented to me, how to make this self-sustaining so that I can now do EcoVilla Puerto Rico.
Woo!
Whoa.
Yeah!
Wow.
So now I'm ready to go and do one more in Puerto Rico, where I'm from. And that is the great victory, but it took 8 years. Mm-hmm. And I felt like a very late bloomer. I'm like, it's supposed to be 5 years. That, however it tells you 5 years, the business. I'm like, no, this took 8, 9 years easy, and especially when you're so ahead, when you're a visionary, that you see things ahead of everybody else. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Now it's common language, kind of. But 8 years ago, it was like, what is this? What are you doing? Why are you doing a dome? And why are you doing guided meditations after your personal training session? Mm-hmm. So it's quite, like you said, being a pioneer. And it's not the easiest, but it's fun, because I always like doing things that nobody else is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I always like finding that thing that nobody else is doing. And but that, it puts you a little bit too ahead of the curve and makes things a little, take more time. Mm-hmm. And it's okay, because we're not in a rush to get anywhere.
Yeah.
That's what I'm learning, where we put this arbitrary deadlines to ourselves that are not necessary.
Pressure.
Yes.
Self-imposed.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like, wait, why am I rushing around so much?
Right.
Huh.
Right. So I think that for any entrepreneur or visionary stepping into this world, they really need to understand that it's a very different paradigm from the system we were raised to learn. It's a very different structure from the regular business that we come from and that we were trained at. And that's why co-creative practices are important to practice and to learn about. And so that how this, what I call supernatural production, works. So that we can do what we love and what we are inspired that will heal the world without killing ourselves. Because you have the high achiever personalities like I am, I work really, 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 really hard. And what I was finding is that I was stepping into that same world that burned me out, but doing something different. And I'm like, what? That doesn't work. You can be claiming all this about being present, finding that state of relaxation, that place of neutral, and driving the grind.
Yeah.
It's not cohesive. So, yeah.
EcoVilla, Puerto Rico. EcoVilla, Puerto Rico.
And are you guys going to build the sustainable housing that you have?
Yeah. So the concept of EcoVilla comes from the inspiration of eco-villages. I wish you probably have heard about.
There's a few in Los Angeles.
Right. There's a few in Los Angeles. There's thousands around the world. Those who started the communes in the 60s have continued to find ways on how to live simply and how to live closer to nature. And and with dignity at the same time. So it's not about being poor. It's about living a simpler life. And when I was going through my financial pickle, I came across my beloved playmate, who's a permaculturist, and he introduced me to this world, eco-villages. I'm like, what's that? Eco-village, And we did a tour of eco-villages in New Mexico, Los Angeles, Northern California, and Ashland.
Oregon.
Oregon, thank you. And I was very impressed by these communities. But I was not resonating with living in really far.
Right.
And being so remote. Again, I'm a city girl from San Juan. And that's always kind of in me. Like, I can do that for a little while, but then, okay, get me to the city again. There's still that. I'm still not there on being able to live remotely 24/7 for the whole year.
And there's lots of others like you.
Yes,
that's the beauty of
absolutely.
it. You need this service inside an urban area.
Yes. So I said, okay, I'm going to play Eco Village in my backyard. And see if I can really do this. See if I can really live like this, or at least train myself to live like this. So the geodesic dome that was originally my fitness studio, because I didn't have enough room in the house, became my bedroom. And then I invited my mom to move into the house, because again, we were into this sharing economy because I needed to. It was a survival thing. So I told my mom, who was living with close by at the time, if we're ever going to do this, let's do it now, And she moved in, and I created turn an RV to a tiny home.
So cute.
Smart. So
cute.
Smart. And we have to keep it,
Yeah, it's the
under
mother.
the radar.
It's the right. We call them the mother-in-law suite, but it's the mother suite.
Yeah, the mother suite. So, so we added these sustainable architecture structures around the property that gave the ability for the property managers to live around and then be able to rent the house for our cash flow, for our bread and butter, because that's important. So that's how we created this suburban eco-villa that has and walks by those concepts of sustainability and regenerative wellness. So we have a few plants that we're growing to eat from the land. We do a lot of community building. We do work trade, which is a very important part of this new economy, how to barter, right? Was a big learning curve with that, but I think we finally understand how to do it. And that was a great inspiration, the Eco Villages. So EcoVilla, it's a microcosm of this sustainability concepts that are proliferating all over the world about how to create a reality where people have an option to either live the very intense corporate life, nothing wrong with that, or live the more chill, simple, living with the land and connecting with nature.
And with each other.
And with each
Community.
other. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's been an amazing experiment that I believe is working and is helping a lot of people. There are people that I know that wanted to just move into an eco village in Colorado from living in their city homes all their lives. I go, you need baby steps. That's too drastic. Your body is going to be in shock. And it's not going to be a gentle transition. And I think we need to be gentle with our bodies and our minds and transition into these new lifestyles with baby steps.
Yeah. It breaks away from the whole white picket fence dream, right?
Right.
There's so much more to offer than a house with like a ton of bedrooms that eventually is going to be empty because all your kids move out.
Right. And then we have the homeless issue. That's not okay. You can't have a bunch of empty rooms in your house anymore.
Right, right.
We have a homeless problem.
We
That
were
is huge.
also just talking about that.
Yeah, and we need to take responsibility and use these homes not only to provide shelter at reasonable rates and prices, but provide healing centers, that we can self-regulate and co-regulate.
Yeah. And create opportunity for someone to get back on their feet.
Yeah.
Right? The barter system, the trade system,
Right.
give them some sense of value and purpose.
Absolutely. And knowing that sharing or living simply like that is not about being poor. And I know that's a big issue in this transition because it was for me. I mean, my little city princess girl was like, you're not going to be poor. You're not. I was like freaking. It was like really, she was screaming. You're not going to be poor. You're not going to be poor. Oh my God, you can't be poor. But I knew that was a lie. That was a tape that was playing. That is not, because we can live in simplicity with beauty and with dignity and with organization. And it looks beautiful. Like the dome, I sleep in my dome, but it's a beautiful space. It looks super cool. And, it's organized, it's clean. And I think villages that live like that can live in a lot of beauty and be fine. But we need to learn how to do that. And it's very basic technology of organizing and cleaning and decorating.
Beautiful.
Yeah, maintenance. Yeah. This is fabulous. The space, I want to describe it a little bit more. It's like pristinely landscaped. There's beautiful bougainvillea. There's all of these like flowers in bloom. There's the Swiss cheese plant. There's all of these different seating areas, succulents, and you come into the space and it feels so welcoming. And it's clean, right? You're not coming into, sometimes eco-villas can be like very rustic.
Very,
right?
very, very.
This is a place that is pristinely kept in a way that still feels warm. So we're very happy to be in this space today. And we're driving here and we passed a client of mine's house, right, on the way in Woodland Hills. So it's not like you're saying, you don't have to drive 4 hours to get to this beautiful, serene environment. So if you'd like more information, what is the best way for people to get in touch with EcoVilla or Coach to Edify, to learn more about Mayra, to learn more about what they might find when they come here?
Well, the easiest way is sending me an email at EcoVilla at Coach2edify.org.
The number 2. The number
Coach.
2.
Yeah,
The number 2.
Coach2edify.org. Also, you can go to our website. It's ecovilla.coach2edify.org. And yes, we're very personable and casual, and it's all about meeting one-on-one and meeting you where you're at. We offer a lot of holistic fitness experiences to inspire people to create their own daily practice of self-care and
That's
connect to
huge.
nature. Yes, it's a daily practice that needs to be developed, and there's many different modalities out there, and the more we expose people to the different modalities, which is what you guys do, the better, because we all find our own little cocktail of how to feel well most of the time, and that's
Exactly.
what we're all about, living a life that feels good most of the time. Most of the time.
That's
Most-
beautiful.
yes.
Sure. Right?
As opposed to the opposite, which is
Right.
where most people live in anxiety most of the time, and then they find these pockets of joy or peace. But we need to shift it. It needs to be the other way if we want to heal the planet.
I agree.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
What a sweet thing. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you for having us and sharing your space with us.
And we're really looking forward to your forthcoming projects
Yes.
and continued prosperity.
All right.
And thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, listeners.